minute.
I will call this meeting to order at 4:01. Roll call, please.
Alternate member David Valdivia.
Here.
Alternate member Dennis Salcido.
Here.
Community Services Director Doug Story.
Here.
Youth Council Member Marla Ugapo. Chair Laura Schnur.
Here.
Member Annie Floan.
Here.
Member Diane Garena.
Here.
Member Eric Bennett.
Here.
And Councilmember White.
Nicole, I read the next part that's highlighted?
Yes.
Okay. Action of any request for excused absence?
None.
Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adjustments to the agenda?
Do you have any, Doug?
Oh, no.
No? Okay.
No adjustments.
Conflict of interest disclosure.
This would be a time for any members to disclose any sort of potential conflict of interest of any items on the agenda.
Okay, I'm assuming that's a no. So, going to item B, public comment period for items not on the agenda. This meeting will be open to the public and conducted in a virtual format to be inclusive of all participation preferences. Public comment participation is encouraged by emailing any comments to the city clerk's office or by calling and using the phone number provided on the front of the agenda. Do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda?
I have no written requests. Rudy, do we have any callers on the line? I think we might be having audio issues. I will send him a message, and if we have any, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Item C, business items. Approval of minutes. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll make a second.
Okay. Motion by Councilman White, second by Eric Barnett, Bennett, sorry. Approved minutes dated January 22nd of 2024.
So you can state at this time, all in favor say aye.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Approve the minutes dated January 22nd, 2024. C2, Nicholas Park and Palmer Park project update.
Yes, ma'am. All right, committee, I'm very excited to present this staff report and this item to you to provide an update for some of the exciting things that are happening in one of our latest park renovations. In the staff report, it kind of lays out a little bit of the history and the context of where we are in this project. Late last year in 2023, we went out and we looked for bids and looked for some services from a landscape architect firm. We picked that later in the year and awarded that contract to Community Works Design Group, CWDG. Since awarding that contract, we had an initial kickoff meeting and we began the process to rehab and improve Palmer Park and then also Nicholas Park. And what we're about to get into is one of the really important parts of any project that we have, especially a parks project, is we're getting ready to dive into the community outreach portion of our project. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is conducting some pop-ups. Specifically in our park, we are going to be doing some pop-ups at Nicholas Park. We'll be doing some pop-ups at Palmer Park. Our goal in those, when we do the pop-ups at those specific parks, is to hit those users and those community members, the residents that are actually using those parks and are taking their kids and taking their dogs and doing all that. So we're going to make some concerted efforts to really get some buy-in and get some feedback from those residents who are using it. We're also going to be working with HOA. For those of you familiar with Fairway Canyon, they have a clubhouse and a pretty active HOA. We're going to post some of the survey information at the clubhouse as well to try to get some input from the residents. And what we're really trying to do is to cast a vision for the residents. When we first initially met with CWDG, we told them, said, hey, we've had some requests for this project. Council has shown significant support to us as a staff and to you as a community by placing large amounts of money in our community capital improvement projects for these two projects. And so we have the motivation behind us, we have the support behind us, but we want to know what the community wants of us. So we met with Community Design Work Group and we talk to them about what are some ideas, some things that we know we need to address. One of the issues we want to address is Nicholas Park currently is the host of our dog park in that area. That dog park, if you've ever been to it, you will enter that dog park and you will immediately think, this looks oddly similar to a baseball field because it was supposed to be a baseball field. And we, during the time, and there was some drought considerations and some other things, and developer put the dog park at that place. We would like to repurpose that area to also help alleviate some of the constraints that we have in trying to schedule all these youth nonprofit groups who want to use our parks for sports in providing some sports fields. Also at Nicholas Park, if you go there currently, you will notice that a majority of that lower portion of that park is used as a Frisbee golf place, portion of the park. And it's getting not as used as you would like in that particular area, especially for something with that much surface area. So we would like to repurpose and offer some to the community, some playing fields, some ball fields down in that area. We also would like to relocate that dog park up towards Palmer Park. And in doing that, we wanted to create a vision. And that's what the two items that are included in your staff report. I also had Ashley print them out a little bit bigger for those of us who didn't bring magnifying glasses to see the plans. So we provided those on paper for you as well. And really what these two are, these two items are, is really an idea to help the community member see what they want and to help them provide a little bit of context, also to help provide a little bit of boundaries and say, hey, this is what we mean by renovating a certain park, a certain area. So these aren't necessarily the designs of what are going to happen. These are really meant to be a conversation starter. So when myself or Ashley or our staff conduct these surveys with the community member, it's an opportunity for us to have something visual in front of them and say, hey, we're going to be doing some pretty cool improvements here. What would you like to see? What are things that you would like to see? How could you see that? And so when they ask questions, well, what do you mean putting a dog park here? What would that even look like? Where would it go? What would happen? What would this be? It starts to answer those questions, and then through that dialogue and through those survey questions and that survey tool, we're able to take that information and really gather the information from the community member. So we're just about to start that process and excited to do that. One of the things that I wanted to do in having this new committee as part of our operating procedures is to be able to give you as committee members a chance to see it as well for two reasons. One, I need your help. I want you to help me get the word out. I would like you to help us inform the community, and so we're going to be spreading that on social media. We're going to be having, like I said, those events at the individual parks, but I need your help. But then also, to give you an opportunity and maybe some of your conversations and some of the things that you've had with residents and members of the community, and maybe you've visited some of these parks yourself, and so you know exactly what I'm talking about, to be able to provide some of that. So we're trying to provide the framework so that the community can start the dialogue. I don't necessarily want them to think that this is the end deal, but this is really a draft or a sample concept plan, and then what's going to come from the survey information and on those conversations will be an actual concept plan that we'll bring to the council or the committee, depending on when it's ready and what that schedule looks like. But we'll present that to council and say, here, after all the surveying and after all the communication with the community, here's what we feel is the best concept plan. And so all that to say is we're moving forward with this project. It's still in its infancy steps, but we're excited to provide this to our community. So if you have any comments or questions about Nicholas Park or some of the specifics about it, would love to answer those, to get those out on the record and so that people can hear it. Yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so I have a few because I live, I think you can see my house in by Nicholas Park. So we
Perfect.
play pickleball.
So you know where that's at.
I know exactly
You know
what this
exactly
looks
where
like,
it's
and I'm
at.
excited
Sure.
about it. I really am.
Sure.
The parking, I think, is maybe an issue because of the traffic on Oak Valley, and then I know that you guys are looking to expand 57 more parking areas there. I think that would be important. I don't know if that's going to house everybody, so that would be a concern, because then I could see, like we deal with right now on Palmer at the other park, there's a lot of parking on the street.
On the street, sure.
Right there on Palmer. And sometimes it becomes very dangerous around that area. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys can revisit that in terms of the parking. That would be one of my concerns. But I love this idea to get on record.
Sure.
I think it's exciting. I love the fact that you're looking to repurpose the dog park. I think something in consideration when you put up these pop-ups, and I would like to ask about that as well. The residents in terms of noise at Palmer Park, being that it's so close to some of these homes, that may be a factor, because I know even at Nicholas Park, we do have quite a bit of people that use the dog park there from the time that we're there and what we see, living essentially across the street. So that may be a factor in that. Yes or no, I don't know, but that's something to consider.
Sure.
The pop-ups, what's your intent there?
So
I know to get buy-in
Sure.
and whatnot.
Yeah, so the pop-ups is something that we have, as a department, our recreation department and Ashley's group, have instituted over the last couple of years, where we've branded it's basically when we come and bring all the activities to the park. And so we've used the term pop-up in our community. Last summer, we did Government Days in the park, where it was a pop-up, and we would basically bring City Hall out to the parks. In their summer, we have 2 pop-ups per week, and we rotate through all the different parks. We bring out all the fun yard games and all the fun stuff that you can imagine, and we bring out tide pools, and we bring out bubble days, and we do all these different themed nights or themed days at our parks. And so what we're trying to do, because a lot of our regular park users are kind of tied into that phrase pop-up. Oh, pop-up means the Parks Department's going to be there doing fun things. And sometimes we'll bring out whatever, ice creams, popsicles, do whatever it might be. But we're trying to kind of generate that excitement for them to come out and say, okay, there's something happening here this day. Let's find out what's going on.
And then, just one more question, I'm sorry, guys.
No problem.
The pickleball courts, which I'm excited about, because we pickleball here and then we go to Ukaipa. Is there going to be any type of charge? Are you looking for like some type of a reservation system? Probably a little bit,
I know what
something that you guys haven't thought about?
Sure, and I don't think it's something that we've officially figured, exactly how the pickleballs were going to work. Again, what we really want to do in showing them this is there enough interest in the community for us to put pickleball courts, because everything that we have to make a choice on is is real estate, right? And so we're saying yes to something and no to something else, you know? And so initially what these plans really are to do is to help spark that conversation with you and your friends who love pickleball, right? And everybody to go out there and say, you know what, I would be out there. And as we conduct these surveys, we can say like, yeah, there is a considerable amount of interest in pickleball right now, which I'm sure there will be. Or vice versa, would it be, you know, hey man, we really want full court basketball courts, you know, or, you know, it just helps us spark that conversation. And nothing is, hey, it's going to be 6, you know, it's going to be 6 in this configuration in this way. It's really it's really designed to what type of feedback are we getting? Is it worth the investment? Because that's, like I said, a considerable amount of square footage to do that many. Would there be enough, or is it maybe only call for maybe 4? You know, we have 1 now and it seems to be pretty busy, so maybe making 2 wouldn't make sense. You know, so to help us answer those questions and then guide us as we work with the landscape architects to say, hey, we conducted these pop-ups, we talked to folks at the clubhouse and through the HOA, and boy, are they excited, right, or passionate about fill in the blank, or maybe other things. You know, but people might come out and, you know, whatever it might be, more walking paths, right? They want to be able to do a certain amount of distance when they walk, or whatever it is. All those things that we put on here and we mark is with the intention of sparking that conversation so that we can gauge, okay, what is the interest in this particular amenity?
Thank you so much.
Just from for like sports organizations, it would be nice if we could get lights, right? And I know that might be a little bit problematic, but anytime we add fields and we don't add lights, they're almost, you know, especially as the time changes, they become unusable.
And the intention would be that is something that council has expressed in when we started this project, and it all was really brought forth from the impact of all the sports leagues that were using the different fields. So lights is something that we would make sure was included in the project. Absolutely.
Well, I would like to speak a little, if that's okay.
Sure.
I also live in Fairway, and my house is really close to Palmer. So I know.
Very convenient for both of you guys.
I like it, but I understand because I've lived there for a while, and I know it's close to the houses. I know. From my perspective, I'm actually glad to see this park kind of turned into something that isn't a parking problem, because I think when we take the baseball out, then we don't have all that congested traffic on Palmer, which is problematic for everybody. So I hear everything, and I have a lot of friends who live closer to where the dog park is right now, and I get that they're closer to get to that facility than I am, and it's a longer sojourn for me to get my dogs down to that park. So I'm not speaking because I'm gleeful that it's going to be, that it will be a little bit closer to me. However, I do understand those concerns for sure. I like the openness of Nicholas how it is, but I also recognize that that plan is going to bring really great benefit to the community by changing Nicholas into a larger facility. I share the parking concerns as well. I think that those are actually things that definitely need to be looked at. I did want to talk about the pop-ups, though, because I was there for the first pop-up at Palmer Park, and we were the only ones there because it was canceled.
Yes.
And I didn't find out till I was
Yeah.
sitting there, and I went on Facebook, and I went, oh, darn it. So there's another item on the agenda later that I'm going to really praise that's going to stop that problem, I think.
Yes, yes.
Because I read that when I was reviewing the agenda, and I went,
From the
yeah,
rain
that would...
all day. It rained all day the
Yeah.
day before, and then the morning of, yes.
Yeah, that's okay. So I was there enjoying the park peacefully and had a chance to talk to somebody else who was looking for that pop-up too. There is another one scheduled for tomorrow at Nicholas, which is supposed to cover both Palmer and Nicholas.
Yes, we will do, yes.
Are they going to schedule, or is there a plan to schedule another one
Yes,
just for Palmer?
Yes, there will be, yes.
Okay, I was kind of worried about
Yeah.
that, because
No.
I think when you're sitting in the park, it's a whole different feeling of looking at the map and what's on here and getting
Yeah.
those ideas kind of flowing, so I'm really happy to hear that.
Yes.
That's a good thing. And we can spread that word around for sure. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think we can all spread that word around that that pop-up is going to happen, that there'll be another one. I think the plans are all very interesting as a draft phase, and I am interested. I didn't want to come here and go, yeah, let me change this and move things around.
It'll
So
all change, I'm sure.
I know. So I didn't want to give a list.
Yeah.
of all the things that I think are so great, right?
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to work through that process and see how that's going to go for all of us. But it's exciting to at least see that we've gotten this far, because it's been a long journey for all of us, I think, on making that park, the Nicholas Park, really more vital, and also making those changes at Palmer. So I'm excited to see us get to this point. So any comments from?
So, as I was looking at this, it's actually a pretty good idea. I like it. One of the ideas that I might add is around the tracks where you have the concrete for walking, I guess, a lot of parents go walking when their kids are at practice or at games and stuff. So if there could be some kind of mile marker to tell you, like, hey, how far are you walking? So they know, hey, I've reached a mile. I can keep walking and keep walking in a mile distance. The other part, I noticed it's a dirt sidewalk on the lower section, and when you go across the driveway, then it turns into concrete. Do they have plans on turning that dirt into concrete walkway?
And as part of the process, we'll be working with our Public Works Director. So in reference to Nicholas Park is what I believe you're talking about.
Yes.
On Oak Valley Parkway, that southern portion. And so we'll work and see what the, future improvements and what type of things are going that make sense in conjunction with this project. And usually as these large projects take place, there's other smaller projects that are happening in that area. And so we'll see, okay, what might make sense to do that, to see if that type of sidewalk and that street configuration still meets all of our levels of service and all the things that we want to make sure that we're covering. So we'll cover that in that process with the Public Works Department, because they'll speak into these plans once they start becoming plans.
Yeah, the other thing, yeah, I agree, the parking, it just looks like there's not gonna be enough parking. My suggestion would be get rid of the pickleball courts.
Wow. Shots fired. Shots fired. I hear you. I wrote down parking lot and there's also standards, in for development. And so these aren't necessarily just numbers that you pick out and say, okay, like let's just throw 21 parking spaces, but depending on what you construct and what we put into the plans, it's going to dictate how much parking is required. And so right now we have everything in the kitchen sink draft. And so what might happen is, as things, because of budget reasons, because of community interest or whatever reason, as things become eliminated, those standards are adjusted for parking and what might be required. So we'll have all these standards that we'll have to meet and criteria that we'll have to meet as we design this project, and to its fullest extent, we'll have to make those note. And if it's not enough, then we have to adjust those parking standards.
Anyone else?
What's a pump track? Again, one of the items that we wanted
Oh, I had to look that up. I know what it is, but go ahead, Doug.
So one of the things that we're seeing currently in park design is a change to the type of amenities that you offer. Historically, and I think when I was younger, when each you were younger, probably most parks were designed with playground and some type of sports field, whatever it may be. But now we're starting to see that there's a lot of children, a lot of young people that have other interests outside of sports. And so a pump track is designed to be a BMX type bike track that you can go on. It's not meant for moto bikes or bikes with engines, but the idea is that it's something that you would ride. And so it has these rolling hills and these turns and whatnot. Not so many jumps, but just an extra place where you can play and recreate. And it's really designed, like I said, for a different type of hobbyist, different type of community member who wants to do something else rather than pickleball or play soccer or Little League. And so that's part of the thing that we'll gauge and measure as well. What type of things do we have? And as we're going through the Parks Master Plan process, which we talked about at last meeting as well, one of the things we're asking our community as a whole, across the entire community, is what amenities don't we have anywhere? And there's certain things that have come out and certain things that have become more and more popular that we don't have the inventory or we don't have those amenities in our asset list. And so those are some of the questions that we'll be asking and trying to get feedback. And if everyone comes to the pop-ups and everyone fills out the survey and they say, what on earth is a pump track? Then we might know, okay, well, we're not really there yet, Beaumont, but maybe that surface area can get used for something else.
Anyone else?
So first, I want to let you all know that I do think the pop-ups are critical, but this committee has a lot of input into what we do here, and I think what Doug was trying to get across to all of us is that these are just for us to have conversations about, and that, once we start to drill down into what we need and what we want, that's going to change. But I did have a question for those of you who live out there. What kind of noise is a noise problem? And is it a problem that happens past certain times at night? Or is it dogs barking? Is it kids playing? Is it cars driving around? What kind of noises are you talking about?
Cars. The number one noise problem in our community is the loud engines, not just standard driving, but the loud engine on cars. That's the number one problem.
Yeah, that's the number one problem in our area too.
Because Palmer-
It's all over. Yeah.
Palmer's a major thoroughfare now, and you've got a lot of more truck traffic, more people using it as an access point, and way more traffic than what we've ever had before. That's for me. I don't know how you feel
Yeah,
today.
my house backs up to Brookside.
Yeah.
So I have the same thing. At 3 or 4 in the morning, somebody just guns their engines. Once they pull out of our housing community, first thing they do, they get on Brookside and they just start to gun it. It's hard for me to sleep with my windows open because of that. But how does that noise get either amplified from a park? I mean, are the parks going to create? It's not going to create more cars.
Well, it may create more cars, I don't know about, because more people hopefully will use the parks.
Right.
But in terms of noise, I think that's gonna be able to be managed because it's gonna be more centralized in a time frame. Like maybe when everyone's at work, so they're gonna use it probably early afternoon or maybe late evening or after work. So that's a little bit different. So that's gonna be able, in my opinion anyways, to be managed. The dog noise is big for us. I don't know
And
if it's just.
that's coming from Nicholas or Palmer or both?
No, it's just the residential. So that's why it prompted me, because if there's gonna be a lot of dogs at Palmer Park, and we get a lot of notice from the HOA already, is that keep your dogs quiet at certain evenings, especially in the evening time.
So
I
you're
work from
talk-
home, so I hear it like all the time.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but so you're talking about the dogs barking at the homes, or the noise you're getting is the dogs barking
From
in
the
the park?
residents' homes, yes.
From the homes,
Yeah.
okay.
And the only reason why I'm saying for Palmer Park is because it's, proposing that we move it up. Whereas at Nicholas, nobody can hear anything. It's because it's far enough away,
Right,
is what I'm saying.
right. No, I understand.
Does that make sense?
It does. I was trying to determine whether the noise was coming from the parks because we have a park in the middle of where I live, but it's a ways away from us, and it's not developed anything like this. I live in Stetson. I don't know if you would know where Stetson Park is. It's just
Yeah.
a big wide open field. I wish we had things like this, and I would think that this is going to have more activity here, so you are going to get some noise, but that's not the noise you're talking about.
Correct. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I
Jump in.
think what's happening in our HOA is that there's a faction of people that complain about dog barking, and it's usually at night. And also during the day, there's some people that leave their dogs out a lot. That's a separate issue
Okay.
from the park. But I think what Diane's concern is when you look at the dog park plan, and I had some questions about it too, which is why I was holding off. It looks great conceptually, but there are homes right there, and I think we could design this so that the dog impact is a little bit further away from the backyards of some of those residents. My findings when I'm at the dog park is it's not really noisy. The dogs really aren't barking, they're playing and running, and that makes a difference. So I think to make sure that our neighbors are not already armed to be alarmed, so to speak, is that we need to come up with a design that's going to really minimize any concerns that our neighbors would have about extra noise. Okay,
Okay.
because I believe truly the biggest problem is the car traffic and stuff. Secondary would be people who are intolerant of dog barking. I'm sorry, my golden retriever does go out and bark a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, and that's what I'm referring to. I mean, because I'm looking at it and you have your residents and you have your neighborhood is so close. So that may be a concern, may not, I don't know. But being that it's closer.
Right.
Whereas the dog park currently, you don't even hear it, not
that's-
from my perspective.
That's
Yeah.
one of the nice things about the
Yeah.
dog park being down there.
Right.
But since I feel that if we actually work on this plan, we can address those concerns really in a
Sure.
positive way so that people understand that there'll be some landscaping
sound.
buffers and
Right.
some other things.
Sure.
I'm thinking some trails around the outside would actually put a buffer between that dog activity. And the nice thing is the dog park won't be open all night.
Right.
So it really
Yeah.
will be dusk to dawn from what I believe, right? So I think we can, as responsible committee members, we can actually convey that information.
We
to-
love, I mean, I love it, and I think you guys are, it's on the right track for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
That's my opinion.
I can tell you from the day that this park opened, we all went out, and it was exciting to open it. I was disappointed that the baseball fields had been turned into dog parks, and that the soccer fields had been turned into a golf, frisbee golf. But the developer created the park, and we didn't have as much input in it as we'd hoped. But we have heard, or I have heard, and everyone on council has heard for years now, why did you build this monster of a park there when you didn't take any input from the community? So that's important to us, is that we hear from all of you. But I think, and seeing what we have here, I'm thinking that the opportunity is to be something amazing. But if, we need to look at this as really, even though Doug and the CWDG has given us some ideas to think about, this is a blank canvas. And so, to me, what you're telling me is you put the ballpark down at the far right-hand side by the multi-use field. And then I do agree with you on the park. Doug, or maybe staff can answer this. This area in between the two parks, now I know a good portion of that is necessary for catch basin, for water, for things like that. Could we expand parking out onto that area, or is that not?
So we currently, if you are looking at the picture of Nicholas, it includes everything that is ours, that's part of our parcel, so that's our property. There is a natural habitat area that is immediately to the north of our park currently, and there's also some drainage and there's some waterway stuff that goes through there from the development that would need to remain. But we do have any of the design stuff that we're considering would be considered on just our parcel. And it is a very weird shaped parcel. So yes, it goes down Oak Valley Parkway to the corner of Palmer, and then there's a very thin piece, and then it goes up to a larger area where the playgrounds and there's a restroom facility, and the playgrounds are off of Palmer a little bit more up the hill, if you're familiar with the terrain down there. But you're right, everything that's wooded and natural looking would remain, because that's all part of the
Okay.
natural habitat area.
Okay, that's all I had for right now.
Thank you. Eric, did you want to speak?
Yeah, just from the sports field, and I think both of us can agree, like, we absolutely need,
Sure.
we absolutely need more fields for everybody. So, yeah, I would just say, please, please, please don't take away the soccer or the baseball fields, because we need them bad.
One of the thoughts that we had, and I think I keep coming back to this, is we have parks all over. And if there's a way to get more soccer fields here, and then we take another park and put baseball fields there, or work more with the Parks District, because I think you could take, I agree with you. I know how large this area is, and the idea that we would get 2 soccer fields and a baseball field out of it, just seems like there might be a better way to do this. If you were to design the soccer area, hold off on the pump, this is just me brainstorming, hold off on the pump track, and then turn your soccer fields so they're perpendicular to Oak Valley and put in 2 more. You know, I think we need to find a way to get more actual fields. I don't know what those of you who live in the neighborhood think about having more of a sports park. And again, I'm not saying replace the whole thing with a sports park, but I think we have the opportunity to do something in the big park and something different, more for the community in the smaller park. But again, I'm just brainstorming, so don't go on Facebook and say anything about what I'm saying. So, please.
Eric, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think if we could add even one more soccer field or one more baseball field, it would absolutely benefit. And I think if you're gonna put it in an area, I don't live too far from here, I live in Olivewood. Yeah, it might increase a little bit of traffic, but on a Saturday when you go out there and there's 3 soccer fields and it's far enough, I think, away from communities that I think we'll be all right, but you are gonna have to increase parking for sure. But I love the concept, but I'm sure as you get a little bit closer, we can sit down a little bit more and figure out how that impacts everybody. But those sports fields, I think if we could add one more, that would be amazing.
And so the process in this project and any project that we do, usually once you get the community input and we'll bring a concept plan, that concept plan is what releases the architect to really start designing a little bit more specific, because there's a bunch of things that we'll see on the surface, but there's tons and tons of work that needs to be done below the surface, and everything from drainage to utilities and all that stuff. And so you'll start to receive successive sets of plans, so a 30% plans, and then a 60% plans, and 90% plans. And so you're right, as we flesh this out, there's lots of iterations that you'll begin to see in any project, where you can still have time to address certain things, make tweaks and different adjustments. And the idea is that as you get closer to the 90% plans, you're getting a complete project that you've vetted all these different issues and stuff through. So we'll have lots of these conversations, lots of these opportunities to look at things and to provide that initial buy-in and that perspective from you guys.
Go ahead. And I think it's important also to get the consensus from the residents or from the neighborhoods when you do your pop-ups. And I think it's important also to have, I love that you guys do these maps here, because we have to think about, people don't know what they really want. And so when we can put things in place and show them what it's gonna look like, I think it's, and we may say, yes, 2 baseball fields, and I agree, but when we say a soccer field or a pump track or whatever, they may not have thought about it, but when they see this here, I think it will help you kind of gauge to see what the residents truly want.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
And my favorite experience from a previous agency where we did a park planning and we brought it to kids and, hey, what do you want? And I had to crush a kid's heart because he wanted a roller coaster in the park. And he drew a whole
you
roller
didn't make that
coaster and
happen?
he put
What?
it on the Post-it note and put it on the board. And he's like, I would like a roller
wanted
coaster.
it.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should. And so from that experience, I've learned, you're right, if you don't provide a little bit of contextualization, a little bit of boundaries, you can get a lot of great, fun responses. So been
What's
there,
wrong?
done that.
I like the roller coaster.
I
Come on.
probably won't have a roller coaster at this one either.
Get the message out for the pop-up.
We're going to share it through social media. I think that's going to be a big thing. We're going to talk a little bit later in one of the other items too about our community calendar and some of the new ways that our city as a whole is getting information out about events. But that's going to be the best way. I know social media is a big thing to us, and we're reaching out to the HOA to have them help post us things as well.
Is it just going out to those residents on that side of it?
No. Social media stuff will go out. We do hit some intentional Facebook posts in that there's a couple of Facebook groups and some neighborhood, what's it called? Next door, things that we'll try to make sure that these residents who are in this area definitely know about it. But it'll also go up on our general social medias that'll go out to citywide stuff as well.
Okay.
May I make a comment in response to that?
Certainly.
I have walked those neighborhoods, knocking on doors, right there, what you can see right here. I think if you dropped a flyer at every one of those houses about the pop-ups, it would do a lot more than what you can do on on Facebook, or, because here you're targeting the area that's, we don't want them, the park's not just for that community, but that community is right there, and if they know, there's a pop-up in the park, and maybe there's, some games, some food, something like that, I think you could get a lot of people coming down from there, or letting their friends who live in other parts of the city know that that's a good time. And the other thought I had is there a way to put in parking around what you have right here as a baseball field? Could you add parking outside of the quarter-mile loop, sort of like what we do at the sports park?
I don't know, because I do think that there is where the current baseball field is, it is sunk lower
Okay.
than the street. I think has also some retention.
Maybe some around this.
There's a slope right there.
Yeah,
There's-
that slope. I think
It's
it's
not,
a-
that's not constructible for parking.
Okay. I
That's,
think there's an
that's all
outlet.
protected to the,
Storm drain outlet.
yeah,
area, too.
to all of that there. So that area is not a parking possibility.
But we can definitely look at it. And and I think what the concept plan is for is to, one, check the box. Yes, we're going to address parking. We know there's not enough currently. So what does that look like, and where does it end up going? What are the numbers that are required? All that.
So I do want to say that I will have a conversation with our HOA about the pop-ups, because I do think that that's one way they can send out an email to the residents, because they have that email list available to them. And I've already talked to the HOA about some of the park issues that they're changing, because I do have conversations with them on a fairly regular basis, all positive, by the way. So I do plan to actually start pumping that to them. I already asked if they would mind, because there's even possibility we could put it in the newsletter to let our community know. But I certainly think that all of us should be attending those pop-ups as committee members as much as possible.
Yeah, especially all the people who've told us how we messed up the first park.
Yeah.
But do you
Well,
guys?
can I say about the first park? I love the fact that it was a dog park. The only issue that I have is that it's very difficult to maintain in its current state. It's a
No, I
really
know, it's
difficult,
just-
it's a really difficult park to maintain. There's not enough money to actually, in the budget, to actually maintain what's needed there, because it's got a huge gopher problem, and it's been very difficult. The water's an issue down there, access is an issue. And so I get it. So I'm actually looking forward to all these changes too. But it's a really peaceful, quiet place to take your dog. So there's a lot of people that really love the dog park, that
Right, and
use
by
it.
the way, I love dogs.
I know
okay?
you do.
All right, so-
I'm not accusing you of anything.
I know.
I'm not. I'm just saying that the
But
dog park is
I can tell
actually.
you, when we saw this park coming, we thought, okay, we're gonna have some baseball fields, we're gonna, be able to really do something special with it, and then,
Well, those of us who live there had no idea it was happening until it was already there. That's
Yeah.
how it went down for us. There was
Well-
not even a discussion with us, because I know the developer put it in, and we were really excited about that. But over the years, the dog park has become a really difficult terrain, because there's just a lot of stuff that has to be done to it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm okay. I think we need to have
so
more.
you made a comment about we don't have money in the budget. Whose budget are you talking about, HOAs or cities?
No, I'm talking about the city budget. There wasn't money allocated to do major maintenance on that, from what I understood. And if I'm speaking out of turn, I don't mean to be, but I know that there wasn't, because it was a developer park that just was handed off. I know that it's been a concern, really.
Yeah, they had to develop the park as part of their specific
Yes.
plan to build everything
Yes.
else.
So what I'm
and-
looking forward to is a dog park that's going to be well-maintained and maintainable, because it's been
Right.
designed for the users.
So do you have regular HOA meetings, and are they well-attended?
We have regular HOA meetings.
Oh, so we have, yeah, so it's a hit and miss, really. The HOA does very well, by the way. I mean,
They
they have a
do.
lot of activities. I work, I work with Jose, quite a bit on certain things, and I work out of out of the office there, or out of the kitchen, because I like to switch it up where I'm working. So I think sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. It just depends on what's going on.
Okay, 'cause
I
I
think
think
they
we
could
should-
be better attended, to be honest with you.
I think we should try and do something there at their HOA meetings.
Yeah, I
And are
mean,
you
if-
guys, you're part of the HOA that where you're with the pool over by the golf course?
Yes, yes, we have the
'Cause
beautiful-
I've been to a
beautiful
couple there,
clubhouse,
and there were a lot
yes.
of people, the one or
Yeah.
two times I went.
And the good thing about our HOA too, especially the admin staff. I mean, I think they're open to hearing suggestions, so we can definitely speak with them. I know Jose for sure is pretty open, so getting the awareness out, I think that's going to be key to make sure that all our residents know what's going on or what's happening in our community. That's going to benefit all of us in terms of equity and et cetera, et cetera. So that's important to understand as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Okay, I'd like to, maybe we conclude on this, if that's okay with everybody, and we move on to the other items on the agenda. I have wonderful discussion, everybody, and I'm really excited that we're all having that. So I think I'm supposed to ask for a
Receive.
motion to receive the update. Okay, so I need someone, would someone like to make a motion to receive this update on Nicholas and Palmer Park?
I move to receive and file.
And we need a second.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Okay. Motion by Councilman Lloyd and seconded by Committee Member Diane Garina, thank you so much. Receive and file. So move on to item 3, the recommendation of Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, between the City of Beaumont and the Beaumont Unified School District, BUSD. Staff report from Doug Story.
Thank you. Yes, so we're excited to provide an update and to show you where we are in our journey to bring back swim lessons and that offering from our department. If you are a resident have been here a while, we did make some adjustments at the Stewart Park in 2021, where we conducted a pool study and we kind of looked at some of the maintenance and some of the issues. Through that process, we removed the pool that was at Stewart Park, and with that, our aquatics program. So since that, we have been trying to creatively think of a process and where we could offer some swim lessons for our community. It is something that many recreation departments, and as ours as well, believe that it's a vital, important part to provide aquatic safety programming for kids, and also to provide it in a public setting where individuals or families who might not have access to a pool would be able to provide that for their kids if that's something that they wanted to do. And so we're excited to begin this partnership with the district. My staff and I have been working with district staff in trying to come up with a plan, just like all of my parks and all of their facilities as well. Their facilities are used heavily. They have swim teams, they have water polo teams for boys and girls. There's other local schools who are doing major renovations and maintenance on their pools, and they're using Beaumont's facilities as well right now. And so we have been trying to creatively find a way where we can juggle everyone's schedules and also find a creative way to provide this service to our community. And this MOU solidifies that. This MOU is going to be signed from the school district and also from our council as well, and this will provide an opportunity for us to provide those swim lessons and those aquatic safety lessons up at their facility. It'll be a brief program. It's going to run through the summer. Once school starts, it becomes a little more problematic to have that continuing, but it is something that we want to really invest in and try to do. So this is something that we put into our budget to be able to purchase some of the items that we'll need for that service, and then also begin the process of getting staff ready and trained and everything all set up for this program. So it's an exciting thing. It'll be a different, unique kind of partnership, but I do think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted to present that to you, also to let you guys know that, and then also just to thank the school district for the time and energy they've put into this process and in helping get us to this point where we can both bring these MOUs to our respective boards and agencies so that we can start this partnership. So,
Any requests to speak? I'd like to just say I read the MOU, and it looks like we're doing water aerobics and swim classes. Is that right? June and July?
The schedule is still in flux, so we're still trying to solidify the morning time. We just are perhaps might have to tweak those water aerobics times because there is a group that wants to use that morning slot now, the water polo team, and so If we have to adjust it, that one might have to come off, but the swim lesson classes in the afternoons are for sure happening. The water aerobics one in the morning, we might have to do away with.
Good, well, I think that's great because there hasn't been swimming opportunity in Beaumont for a while. So that high school pool is going to get heavily used.
Absolutely.
Okay, so any more requests to speak? from
I would
anyone?
like to.
Go ahead, Councilman Lloyd. White.
How many people in this room have been here for more than 18 years? There was a measure that was passed about 20 years ago that the school district wanted help paying for their swimming pool. And there was a bond measure that was passed, and we were all promised as a community that during the summer, whenever the temperature got over 100 degrees, that the swimming pool would be open to the community, for the entire community to use. And so it's something that I have reminded them of every opportunity I've gotten for the last at least 10 years, even before I was ever on council. So I think we should keep that in mind. I'm surprised, very surprised when I saw this on the agenda, that we've already had some discussions with the school district regarding this MOU. I mean, this is not just our idea of an MOU, it's something that they've sort of put some input into. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I would just like to keep in everyone's mind that this is something that we all paid for and we are still paying for. And are they expecting to charge us for use of the pool for these different events? And
They have agreed to waive the facility rental fees for the pool.
Okay. Okay. Well, I won't say anything more. I hope it works out.
No, that's okay. So, well, we're getting somewhere, though. They'll get to use it, so that's actually a great thing. Motion to accept the report from Doug Story on the Beaumont High School MOU for the pool.
I'll make a motion to support it.
Motion by Eric Bennett. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Annie Plum. Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No. Motion carries. Receive and file. Next thing we are doing is the Stewart Park update. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Story, it's on you again.
Yes, so two exciting things about our Stewart Park project, which has been underway for some time. We received notification, we are looking for some grant funding to help cover some of the costs of Phase 2. What we did in previous presentations to council is when we presented the plan for Stewart Park, agreed to break it up into a Phase 1 and Phase 2 portion. And in that process, we are looking for some additional funding, some grant funding opportunities for Phase 2. Last month, a couple months ago in January, we submitted an application to the state and we were notified that we were successful in being selected at that level, and we are being pushed to the next level, which is a federal competition for this grant. And that's an exciting thing for us. The grant we are going for is the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership through National Parks. And this is a matching grant where the grants, if successful in receiving this grant, we're requesting $3.1 million. We would match that $3.1 million and help bridge the gap to finalize the funding needs for Phase 2. So the first update is we are well on our way. In that process, the federal application is due on April 30th this month, and so we are in the final phases. We have a new grants manager that is a staff member here at the city, and she has been doing a fantastic job keeping all of us in line and getting things turned into her so she can finalize this application. But that's the one exciting news. This process would give us a response, they estimate, in the month of November this year. Lets us know where we are, and then there's a process after that to finalize contracts and some documentation, and then you're able to use those funds in 2025. So we'll see how that goes and if that's something that we're successful in, but we're very excited to do that. The second update and the thing that we're excited to present to our committee and to council is that we did finalize all the design documents. The project is out to bid right now, and it is online where you can view the entire bid and some of the plans. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting last Wednesday. We had 9 different prime contractors, general contractors that came out and toured the site and asked different questions and showed an interest in wanting to submit that bid. And so we're excited to do that. Those bids are going to be due May 17th. And we'll open those bids on May 17th and begin the process of review to see what the next steps are. Our goal would be to bring it to council for contract award in the month of June. And then from there, it's get started on the project. And so we're excited that is underway, and I wanted to provide that as an update. I know at our first meeting back in January, we spoke a lot about Stewart Park and some of the upcoming design deadlines and some of the things that we had in front of us. But I just wanted to let you all know that we've wrapped that up, and we are now out at the bidding portion of our project.
Eric, did you want to speak?
Yeah, just what if the grant funding application doesn't make its way?
Sure. We'll continue to bring options and before council to see what happens in terms of funding. In the design process, we strategically selected items in phase 2 that we could wait for. A majority of the construction and some of the key infrastructure and stuff that has to be done under the surface and above the surface will all be taken care of in phase 1, as well as some of the key components of the park improvement project, which is the splash pad, the new playground, ADA walkways and accessibilities. So some of those key components. Also, we're going to be vacating the 2 streets that are now cutting Stewart Park into thirds. All those things will be taken care of in phase 1. So some of the items in phase 2 that we would wait on would be some of the large picnic structures, the amphitheater. And so there's different options in the bid. If we have to wait for a significant time, then those would have just a flat grass area in there. So it wouldn't be that they would be held bare for however long it took us to secure the remainder of that funding. And so there's just a strategic process in knowing what we can and can't wait for in the process. So we'll also know when bids come in, if, depending on what the budgets are and how much they're able to build phase 1 for. We are bringing a budget amendment to council on May 7th that also takes care of that matching portion of the grant. So there's significant funding designated towards Stewart Park currently. And so fingers crossed, we'll see what happens in November, but we'll update you all as soon as we hear anything.
Does anyone else have any comments? I do have a question for you, Doug.
Yes.
Is there a possibility that after the bids are in, that we could actually have an opportunity to look at the proposal before it goes to council, after you do all of your work to prepare the bids and selection and all of that? Is there any possibility that we could see any of that before it actually goes to that council meeting in June? Because our next meeting isn't until July.
Right, July, right. Would that have to be a?
We could do one of 2 things. We could do a special meeting, or if this group wanted to create a subcommittee of just a few members, it has to be less than majority, so it doesn't violate Brown Act.
Okay.
You could create that to review it.
How many would have to be on the committee then? 3?
2.
Well, I mean, for
2?
scheduling purposes, you don't want too many, because then it gets too hard to nail down a date. We've done in the past 2 to 3.
Okay. So,
Huh? So as part of this contract, one of the things that we in this process is so this is a competitive sealed bid. And because it's a public works contract, we are bound to go to the lowest responsive bidder. And so there's a process that we go through, and doesn't necessarily mean that it will be the lowest. If there's other criteria that they're not meeting, that they could be eliminated. But we do have to award that contract to the lowest bidder. So even if there was something else, you know, I don't know what there would be to decide. For example, professional services agreement. So when we selected the landscape architect, that one doesn't have the same public works code where you're required to go with the lowest responsive bidder. And so there'll be times where in those instances we've received all those bids, and that process in going through it is completely different than, say, a public works process, public works contract award, which is what this would be. So anytime that you're building infrastructure, you're building public property, there is a public works code which requires us to do the lowest responsive bidder. So even if we had someone, we would vet all those things, and basically we're gonna have this one person. I wouldn't wanna wait, of course, we're not, you know, no one wants to wait longer, right? To wait till July to go through that process in our normal thing. But even if we had you as a committee listen to that or review that bid, it's going to be that one recommendation, right? That recommendation is going to be for that lowest responsive bidder.
I was mostly interested in, after the staff does its work, what the proposal would be to the council and giving us a chance to look at that. I wasn't necessarily interested in, I'm not
May I
asking
ask-
to review bids. I'm asking to see what you would be presenting to
to council.
council
Sure.
so that they could
Okay.
at least know that we had a chance to look at that.
So may I
Sure.
sort of have back and forth with you a little bit here? What are you looking for in the bid? Because let me start by telling you, these bids are just documents. It's a contract. It doesn't really give you any diagrams or any
No.
timeframes.
I'm familiar with that process.
Okay.
I understand how that works. I'm more interested in just as a Parks Committee before, our job is to look at things prior to council and kind of field any questions or concerns that might happen so that the council knows that it's had community input. So I understand our role. I was more interested in just being able to see the proposal before it goes to council so that they would know that the council would know that we had a chance to actually have some view on what's coming.
Knowing that you're familiar with the bids, that's really all I wanted to know because.
I'm very familiar with
Because there really isn't a whole lot to look at.
No,
mean,
I don't want to look at bids. I've done
Okay.
that in my lifetime. I understand that. I'm mostly just trying to look at a way to fulfill our responsibilities as the committee so that the council would have confidence that we actually had a chance to review what the staff work proposal is before it gets to the council so that they would know that we at least had a chance to see what's coming. I'm not looking at having authority or say on anything.
So can I suggest a 3-person subcommittee then?
Yes.
Okay.
So would you like
If-
to make a motion for a 3-person subcommittee? Or should I have someone else do it?
Well, yeah, I think we can have a discussion, decide we're going to do that. If, if there's a consensus to do that, then you would want to look for volunteers to be on that committee.
Yeah.
But
So,
So there is it's not an agendized task to create a subcommittee, so we're kind of leaning on.
that's why I'm asking what would be the right thing to do.
However, because when the bid comes in, like Councilmember said, it is just a bunch of documents and contracts. The bid itself, when we receive them, because it is a public works one, is open to the public. So anybody could attend for that portion of it to receive them. That might be.
Could we email it out once, because there's also a timeline, I think that's the hard part of this as well, is making sure that we can receive the bids, review the bids, do everything that we need to do, because there's also a timeline for us to submit to Nicole, the deputy city clerk, so she can put together the agenda. Can we, once that email that report out prior, is that something that we could do, is maybe email it to the committee?
Yes, I don't see an issue with that, if committee is
So-
fine with that.
I don't think it's necessary to have another committee, to be honest with you. I think what Laura's trying to say is that we don't need to look at the bid, we don't need to look at numbers, but what we want to make sure that we're on the same page in terms of what you're proposing for Stewart Park, and that's it. So you can email it, we can, whatever you all want to do is great. But in terms of seeing the bid, we know that it's going to go to the lowest bidder. We don't need to look at the numbers. We just want to make sure that we're on the same page with you guys, that whatever you're proposing, that we know what it is. And that's simply what.
So are you talking about like something like this?
Yes.
We have these, right?
Exactly.
We already have done these in order to put out our bids, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
So
can get this
here's
one.
actually what I was talking about. What, maybe I wasn't clear. Our next meeting isn't until July 22nd. Typically, if this were happening after July 22nd, I think there would be a staff update to the agenda that we would look at and go, whoo, this is all, wow. Okay, and we would say, just like we're doing here with every other report, but that opportunity is going to miss us because of the calendar, because we don't meet every month, and we're not asking, I'm not asking about that. I'm just saying, because we're not going to have that opportunity, what could we do in lieu of that so that it actually had some informal process for us to be able to say, wow, this is actually the community's going to like this, and this is what we could expect. That's all I'm asking about. I'm definitely not asking to be part of the bid process, I assure you.
So now that I understand what you're asking, what I think you would more likely want to see is what goes out when we request the bids. Because in the request for bids, don't we then talk about what we're expecting or looking for from the groups that are bidding?
But that's already
That's
out.
already out there.
That's
I'm just
already been
asking
out.
what the staff.
Yeah, correct.
You could share it with everyone.
Correct.
is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
absolutely. I absolutely can. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And I can do that, and I can provide that link and then set it up so you can look at those documents. Absolutely. And that
even-
includes
And
plans.
this is a construction bid or a,
construction
what's that?
construction bid.
Construction bid.
Yeah.
I really just want to see what you guys are going to send to the council. That's really simple for me. I just want to be able to say, yeah, I saw that, and I think this is all good. So I have a chance to digest it. It was actually really good for me today to read all the agenda. I sat thoroughly, and I went through everything, and I went, oh, wow, I really feel like I am back in my groove here, and I understand more about what's going on, because it's been a while for me. But really, it's really simple. I don't mean to make it more complicated than it is. I just wanted to kind of do our committee thing. That's it. Okay, so don't everybody freak out.
Yeah.
I don't want to rubber stamp anything. I know my spot. So.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to understand what you're looking for
Yeah.
because.
Just that, because we would miss that step. If
Yeah,
our
I
meeting,
think-
if we had another meeting before it went to council, it would be like
Sure.
a smooth thing, like, yes.
Yeah, the
park-
problem is with this one,
You can't.
we're
The-
there.
Right, and that's what I
Yes.
was going to say. The difference between the process with Nicholas Park and Palmer Park is that this
We're a little
committee
further
has
along.
been formed when it's at the infancy.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the
No,
Stewart
I-
Park project process started in 22, when we
But we
started
came-
this whole
But-
process.
But in January, didn't we see an update that had the drawings and stuff in it for Stewart Park?
It was
I think it was
included, it was
cursory.
part of our CIP
Yeah.
project update.
I think it was,
The
I think it
list.
was in the data,
list,
because I
yeah.
went back and I looked, it was just in the list, because I reviewed that stuff too. So really, I just was trying to find a way that we could actually review what the proposal would be to the council, so we could say, yeah. So also, because one of our expectations here is that the community is going to be asking us questions, and I would like to be able to field a question properly, is really what I'm after, not.
Sure.
I don't want your job, Doug, I swear. Or yours. So that was it for me. So, conclusion, what are we doing?
So did we vote to receive and file this one?
Not
Motion?
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so, a motion to receive this update? Can I do it? Okay, I make a motion to receive the update on Stewart Park, and we need a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman White. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the update on the summer calendar. Staff report from Doug Story.
And I am going to have my recreation manager, Ashley Starr, provide the staff report.
Ashley's been waiting.
Hi. Good evening, council. I'm not council, committee members. We're excited to share some of our upcoming events that we have coming up. this Saturday, we're going to be having a community volunteer day where we invite different groups to come to the rec center where we're going to hand out assignments so they can beautify some of our local parks by spreading mulch, helping to repaint some basketball courts or pavilions, and just beautify the community. Following that, we're going to be having a star party on Wednesday, May 15th at DeForge Park. That is where we partner with the Riverside Astronomical Society, and they bring out their telescopes and share their knowledge and their equipment with the public so that they're able to explore a galaxy far, far away. Following that, we're going to be having our Movie in the Park series every Wednesday night in June, and those will be at the sports park. And our summer pop-up series, that is what Doug was speaking of, where we go out to the park. So that is every Tuesday for the week after school gets out. I don't have the exact date, but it's basically June through July. And they're weekly themes. They travel around the city. And then on Fridays, we continue that theme at our community rec center with STEAM-based programming. The last event as part of our pop-up series is our National Night Out, and that'll be held in partnership with the Parks District, where we have our local public safety bring out their different vehicles, and we invite everyone to climb around and explore and just learn about all the different agencies and the equipment that they use. Additionally, our summer concert series is now going to be partnering with the Beaumont Nights at Town Center. So we'll be having live entertainment, food vendors, food trucks, and that's all going to be taking place on Beaumont Avenue between 6th Street and 8th Street on Thursday evenings. And all of these events, as Laura mentioned, are going to be put onto our new community calendar, which is live on our website right now. So it's a new feature that we have where you can register for events. The system collects your data, so when we know that you're registered, if we have any updates to that event, it'll send push notifications to remind you or notify you of any changes to that. So it's very exciting to have that on there. We encourage you to check it out. And our public information officer has done a wonderful job launching that program. So we're going to begin all the marketing and really push that out to the community here soon. And then exploring the option of adding an app as well instead of just the online version.
I was hoping for a QR code. I was like,
QR
oh,
code.
yes. I looked
We
at
can
it.
look into that as well. Do you have any questions on our events or programming that we have coming up?
Does anyone wish to speak?
I think it's all exciting. Good job on that.
Thank you.
And one thing about the community calendar, I think that's going to be a game changer for our department as well, is an opportunity for some of our partner agencies who also do events. I'm not naive to think that the Recreation Department is the only agency doing special events and having fun things for the community to do. But a lot of time, it's very difficult because we'll plan an event and then we'll find out, oh, the chamber is doing something, or the district, or the library, or whoever it may be. And this is going to be a great way to consolidate that information for us. And so we're really excited to offer that to some of our nonprofit partners, but also just to be able to offer this to our residents, because as a parent, I think I can say it for me. I live and die on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Don't expect me to be there. It has to be on my calendar. And this is just a way to help keep our families and residents apprised of what's going on. And then when we do have weather inclement things that cancel events or whatever, we're able to then communicate with specific residents who express an interest in a certain event that they wanted to be a part of, and we can communicate with them directly. So it's going to be a fun thing. I'm really excited to offer that in partnership with our public information officer here at the city, and Ashley has been putting together a lot of fun stuff for it. So we're excited to roll it out to the community.
Well, did you want to speak?
Yeah, just a couple things. I noticed we have the Beaumont Cherry Festival going to be going at DeForge Park this year for one day. Is that what's going on with that?
There was a misprint. We printed the magazine, so May 15th is a star party for one day.
Okay.
And then the Cherry Festival is May 30th, 31st, and June 1st and 2nd at Noble Creek.
Okay, great. I don't need that kind of traffic in my neighborhood.
Well, I did check out the calendar, and I thought I did it today. I was going through and I was, let me just check that out, and it is dynamic. And my first thought was, this needs to be a QR code in the parks, like on a poster, so that people that are there could just scan it on their phones and it goes right to that link. So that was one of the things that I wanted to say, get that out to people. It has to be out there visible to them, and most people love QR codes, and because it goes right to it. So it was great. Nobody wants to type in the link, but the QR code would be fantastic because you see it, you just scan it, and it goes. But it actually was a great opportunity in my mind to prevent those things like that pop-up being canceled, and you would get an instant notification if you signed up that you were interested in it, you would know. And so I'm really excited about the possibilities of what that offers. So great ad. Great ad.
Very fun, and it's exciting to see how excited the community is for QR codes. I get asked,
Yeah.
is there a QR code for that event every time we talk about anything?
Yeah.
And so it's just a new way of getting information out to the people.
It's fast and easy, and it
It
works.
is.
It
It
works.
is. It is.
So in this, with the schools with the QR code, how do you guys promote that? I'm curious, like on their enrollment forms, I mean, are they able to insert something in terms of the elementary schools to make sure that this awareness is out there in the high schools?
So I believe as far as the community calendar,
Yeah,
I believe the different nonprofit agencies, because there's also a real smart AI component to this
Okay.
program as well. And so as it's also searching in parameters like we tell it to search for, it's also finding, oh, hey, they just posted this on their whatever, social media or
So
their
you can see
calendar
the
or something.
conflicts.
And so it will begin to pull that information as well. And so I know that the calendar does some amazing things that Julie's working on her end as well.
Go ahead.
So I guess what we as committee members got to realize is one of our jobs is to actually go back with this information and post it on social media. I mean, that's one of our main things I think that they want us to do is go back, tell your neighbors about it, take these drafts and take a picture of them, put it on your neighborhood Facebook page so your neighbors know what's going on when they're having the pop-ups, notify it, just kind of spread the information so we all know what's going on. Only issue with the pop-ups I see is that they happen during the day and most of us have to go to work. Well, I don't.
The ones for Fairway
I
were
don't know,
5:30. It was 5:30. It was in the evening. So the ones for the community input for the parks are
So
in the evening.
Those ones are in the evening. It just, and the pop-up times, we've done them on Saturdays, we've done them in the evenings, we've done mornings. The ones that Ashley spoke of that are on Tuesdays, right? Tuesdays are mornings, correct. So there are some that are the morning. And then there are also some different pop-ups and different things that we've done that have been other times as well.
So I think we just need to make sure that we get out there and actually spread the word. And, whatever social media you use, your neighbors you talk to, or, you don't talk to, it doesn't matter. But you gotta get the
Don't
word.
talk to,
We gotta
yeah.
get the word out somehow.
Yeah.
You know what I think would help is if you had this on the website with a link that you could share to the committee.
Okay.
And then when you're doing your Facebook, you don't have to take a picture of it and put it up there. You can just
Sure.
share a link.
Absolutely.
And I know we have a couple of HOAs, like I'm in Olivewood, but do we have a way to access like Tournament Hill? I know Nextdoor app, but I don't use that, but like Tournament Hills and those kinds of Sundance, are we able to get into those?
And you have to be a
groups as
member
well?
of those, I think.
Yeah, and we are a member, not me, but our department, and not me, I'm not in them, but we do, and we have contacted them and say, hey, if you want us to know about these things, and if we can share things that are happening in your parks. And almost every single HOA has been super supportive and very open and helpful in getting the word out there. So, and I would, just like you're saying, is to help get the word out, and please, anything that we do, we want you to be present, and we want you to come as a committee member and to be present at our events. I know there's a lot, and this summer there will be a large amount of events, and so I'm not expecting you guys to come to every single event by any stretch of the imagination, but please know that I would love to see any of you at any of our events, and to be able to interact with our staff and also the community as well. So my personal invitation to you to come to anyone that you can get into, we would encourage it. Plus, they're all super fun, so.
Okay, so are we ready to accept the report? Do you have
oh, yes,
anything?
yes, yes.
Yes, okay, so I need a motion to accept the update on the summer calendar.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Eric. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Diane seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Motion carries. Report accepted. We're on goals and objectives.
I think that's a template thing. I don't think there was anything specific on there, and so I'll talk to Nicole about that one in the agenda for the future.
Staff comments?
No, I have spoken enough. I'm
Thank
free.
you. Kevin? Okay, city council representative comments? Councilman White, would you like to add anything?
No, I just think this is a great opportunity, and I think if you get any ideas on something that you would like to share on social media, Ashley's amazing what she's done for us for as long as I've known, on getting information out on social media, and she has access to all of our different platforms. So any ideas you can give her, again, if you can link to our stuff, I think it's a lot easier for people to get the information they need. So that's all I had.
Thank you, Councilman White. Next one is committee comments. So if anyone has anything that they would like to address now that is appropriate?
I just have two things. AYSO had their Cherry Cup tournament, which is their 8th annual one this past weekend. So they had 64 teams come in, which is nice, a little bit bigger than last year, so getting back up. So if you figure that out, probably 700 plus players and a little over 1,400 adults that were in our city for the weekend. So that's good. And then one thing that we've been dealing with in AYSO is the AED issues for 2027 that all sports organizations are going to have. So we're addressing some of that stuff because we have regions in New York. So we're doing it right now because they decided to beat California. But just something that we need to start getting out there, that especially some of the smaller organizations, these one-off teams and that kind of stuff, that are going to have those things. So just a discussion I'm more than willing to have with you, Doug, on that.
Making me fast forward all the way to 27, Eric. Thank you.
I know, but if we don't,
I know. No, that's
because there's not
great-
enough vendors
Yeah.
for machines, so
yeah, it's going to be
it's going to be
a fun
quite
problem to solve for sure.
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's coming.
Anyone else? Any? No?
Back to getting the information out to your neighborhoods and stuff like that. You know, if you go to one of these pop-ups or one of these events that the city sponsors, you know, it's not hard to take a picture and post, hey, here I am at this event, or hey, you guys missed out on that. Take a couple pictures of what makes it look exciting, you know, and that'll get the community going, oh man, I'm gonna go to that next year, or, you know, oh, I missed that, I'm gonna hit up the next one. And I mean, it just flourishes and flourishes, and you get more people and more people and more community togetherness. Yeah. And I think that's what we wanna achieve with Beaumont, so.
I had one last thing. I would like our committee to be able to do a city parks tour. And I'm just going to throw that out there, if there's any way possible that we could possibly achieve that, so that we could actually see all these facilities in a group. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm just going to do an ask.
It is, one of the things that Nicole can fill us in on is some of the Brown Act stuff. And so it does make those types of outings difficult. But what I am committed to doing for each of you is I can take two of you at a time and schedule some times to do that. I would love to do that. I love bragging about our parks. I love bragging about our facilities and our awesome staff that we have. And so I would love to share that. And I do think that helps as you talk about events and as you talk about our programs to have that context. So I've learned that we can't do it necessarily as a group because of some of the Brown Act stuff. But I will definitely accommodate that two at a time. And so however that works in our committee, and maybe that is I can throw out to our group a couple of times and say, hey, here's an evening time and here's a morning time, what works for everybody. And we can have two at a time sign up. And then I can take you on a tour and just show you different facilities and different parks. I think each of us have a context of where we're at, right? Either Fairway Canyon or DeForge Park. We know the one that's really close to us, but there's a lot of parks in different areas. Some people don't even know that Stetson is a park, right? They've never been there, and so it's a great way to provide context and then really to understand what our community says when they tell you about, oh, you're on the Parks Committee. Well, let me tell you about Wildflower, and you're like, I have no idea.
Never heard of it.
Never
right?
heard of Wildflower, right? And so I would definitely would love to do that with you guys. I will send out an email, and if you want to respond, or we can coordinate that. Do I need to coordinate that through you, Nicole, to schedule those? Okay, so I will have Nicole schedule that. I will throw out some times over the next several weeks, and if we can get two at a time that want to do it, by all means, come on in.
I have a big old SUV.
Huh? Kevin wants to schedule
Kevin,
too.
I know.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
of
No, we have
course,
some
of course.
amazing staff members and amazing people, and so I would love to share that with all of you. So
Well, I
we will
appreciate
put that out there, and then do an evening. Right? Is that would an evening be helpful, and then a couple of morning opportunities and stuff. So, all right.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anything else before we're ready to adjourn? Okay. What do I
That's it.
say?
We got
It's
to use the
over?
gavel. You have to use
It's
the gavel
over.
now.
Wait. It's over.
There you
We
go.
adjourn.
But you got to give a time. You have to say a time.
Oh, we adjourn at 5:30, 5:26.
There you go.
5:26 p.m.
Now it's official. Great job.
Now it's official.
Great job.
Okay, thank you. I'll get it eventually. We need one more meeting, okay?